Pauline Hanson is facing what could be the toughest week of her political career as the firestorm over the gun lobbying sting continues to engulf her party. She came out swinging in a fiery press conference late yesterday where she didn't take any questions. But not long after, I was invited to sit down with the One Nation leader for her only breakfast TV interview. Well, Pauline, thank you for the time.
My pleasure, thank you.
Now, you say you've been taken out of context. What is the context?
Well, the context is they've cut and pasted the questions and the answers that we've actually given. I felt that myself in today, what was released with my comments. And if you really have a look at it, I've looked at parts of there. I haven't watched the full episode from today as yet. I haven't had time to. But
really? You haven't seen the whole episode?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. Only what's been portrayed by the media. But what I know by that is that I don't even see his face. I don't see his lips moving. I feel that this has been dubbed out, and it has been cut and pasted so many times. And
well,
actually,
we see your face. We see the words coming out of your mouth. It's on tape. You can't deny that they are the words that you said.
An MP said it would actually take a massacre in Tasmania to change the government laws.
Wow.
That night, there was 5 of us sitting at the table, and there was a young fellow who doesn't drink. So he hadn't been drinking whatsoever. He could not believe Muller. He kept asking me questions. Then he'd give a break. Then he'd actually come back to the same question. He said a lot of things until he got the answer that he wanted.
And that's what they were there to do. There was no denying
correct.
that.
And I didn't know that. But it's how the question was put across, and there's no denying that was actually cut and spliced. The whole lot was.
So do you deny that you said what you said?
I don't deny it. That was there.
Okay.
Yes, I agree. I read the book.
What was the book?
Look, it was about the Port Arthur, and it was a light blue in colour. It wasn't a very big book, but anyway, it was sent to me, and that was read. I was out of Parliament. But Deb, I'll tell you something too. If I really believe that, and of course I've always spoken my mind, and when I got into Parliament, I was only in there a month and the massacre happened just after that. If I really thought that it was a conspiracy theory what came up, I had 2.5 years on the floor of Parliament to actually have spoken up and said that.
You believe that the Port Arthur massacre was not a government conspiracy?
True, of course.
So how do you think that the people whose families hearing any suggestion, even the hint...
Deb, I never said at all that it was a conspiracy theory.
But now there are people coming out in response to you.
And who's saying that? Is the media that actually saying that?
No, so there are supporters of One Nation now coming out all over social media today saying, she's right, it's a conspiracy theory. There are lots of people now who are jumping on the bandwagon.
I just explained to you why.
So what do you say to those people?
That's why I say to these people, it could not possibly be a government conspiracy theory.
Do you want to water down the gun laws? Do you and One Nation want to water down the gun laws in Australia?
Deb,
absolutely not, categorically?
Categorically. Deb, I've been in a position now that if I wanted to, I could have had watered down gun laws. I don't. I have one of the strongest gun law policies in the country that is acknowledged by a lot of gun organisations that they believe we've got it right.
So why
even
James...
now, and let me finish up this, that even it is stronger than the new gun laws that the Prime Minister Jacinta Ardern wants to bring into New Zealand. Mine is stronger than that.
So why did James Ashby and Steve Dixon then talk about wanting to get millions of dollars from the NRA, wanting to win power and wanting to water down the gun laws in Australia?
Let's just pull that up. Let's pull that up. They never, ever asked the NRA for any money.
If they threw $10 million at us, we win a heap of seats, seats in the Senate.
They talked about what they could achieve if they were to get money from the NRA.
That was Muller putting words into their mouth. That's what I mean. It's taken out of context. No, if you look at it, they were led to believe, if you can get some funding, what would that mean? What would you do? How could you actually change the politics in Australia? That we could have representation on the floor of Parliament to represent the people of what the major political parties are not doing. The sale of our country, the sale of our assets, the Paris Agreement, free trade agreements, all these things. That's what the change that we want, is getting representation for the people and speaking on behalf of the people of this nation. Steve said some stupid things or inappropriate things, and I agree, all right? But I know Steve. Steve is a family man. He's a good man. And Steve Dixon would never, ever want to water down the gun laws in Australia, the same as I won't. And I'll tell you another thing.
So you'll stand by Steve and you'll stand by James Ashby?
And I've made that quite clear today.
How many chances will they get? Because we know that James has been banned from Parliament House because of his fight with Senator Brian Burston.
No, sorry. Not the fight with Brian Burston. The aggression came from Brian Burston to James Ashby.
Okay,
James
but that
Ashby
incident
never laid a
prompted
hand.
a banning of federal
never laid a
Parliament.
hand. And James Ashby has been trying to bring it to the President's attention about the sexual abuse and harassment that was going on with the female staff in his office, and the President just said, you go to someone else.
But the outcome is that he's been banned from Parliament House, correct?
For the time being.
That's the outcome, though?
It's not definitely.
You're fired up about this, Pauline, I can see it. And,
well, I am,
and you
because...
seem to be, though, pointing the finger of blame to a lot of people here.
Sorry, I'm not
with regard to the documentary.
All right, not blame. I'm actually telling you the truth,
Well,
Deb.
you've said it's a foreign government, that it's an undercover journalist, that the ABC shouldn't be airing this documentary in the first place.
And you tell me why doesn't the blame lay at their feet?
But I'm asking, why aren't you taking any responsibility? I mean, do you accept any responsibility for what has been said on this documentary, what has been captured by yourself or by James Ashby or by... Is there any responsibility that you're willing to take here?
No, I don't, because I tell you what, this was a sting. It was set up to discredit One Nation. The media have portrayed that we actually went to the NRA for funding, for money, which was never the case. They say that we wanted to water it down, the gun laws. Never, ever the case. Even Muller, I remember that night at dinner, he kept at me that women should carry guns for protection. I said, no way. I said, I do not believe in that. It was a sting, it was an entrapment. It was meant to do it because they did an investigation into One Nation, and they actually knew that we had no association with the NRA. Okay. That's why they then went after us to try and prove that there was.
Now
who's to say that this wasn't a setup so that eventually they'd get the Prime Minister, the Liberal Party, say, we're going to wipe One Nation altogether.
But that sounds like another conspiracy theory.
We are not
It sounds like another conspiracy theory, Pauline.
Isn't it so? And then not give One Nation preferences because they've discredited One Nation in the eyes of the public, that they don't deserve to get preferences from the Liberal Party. I tell you what, Deb, and what I've learned over the years, politics is a dirty game, and they'll say and do whatever they can do to get themselves into power in this country.
You said, Pauline, today that Scott Morrison, the Prime Minister, is a fool.
Yes, he is a fool.
Why?
Because he has not really waited to see the full information that's come out. Has he contacted Asia or the Federal Police that I've actually put this across to them that it should be investigated for what it is? This is political interference from a foreign government. That needs to be investigated, Deb. He is the leader of this nation. If it's happened to us, how many other instances is it, that may have happened? This needs to be investigated. Instead of rushing into his decision, he's actually said, you're guilty. That's what he did today. You're guilty. No, I'm not guilty. And I've always, you know me, well, I've always tried to be upfront with the people and honest with the people. But what the Prime Minister has done today is not true leadership in my eyes. And yes, he is a fool because he's fallen into the trap of what the Labor Party and the Greens want because he's just handed the keys to them for the lodge.
Do you think that this entire saga is going to damage you at the election and your chances of winning seats?
Deb, I cannot, I haven't got a crystal ball to say what the future is.
What's your gut say?
No one does.
What's your gut say?
Right. I hope that people trust, I've been honest, I've been upfront. We have no association with the NRA, never had. They would never have been introduced to the NRA if it wasn't for Muller. This was an entrapment. This was pushing their own agenda. It was 4 years in the sting, and we came in at the tail end of this. So, you know what I say to the people? Go on what I've done on the floor of Parliament. I have actually fought for the people. I've been a voice for the people. And what I see, what we might get under a Labor Greens government, it concerns me greatly. And I fear for the future generations if they ever get the keys to this nation.
So, Pauline, what do you say to Walter Mikak, the man who lost his wife, Nanette, his two daughters, Alana and Madeline, his entire family killed in the Port Arthur massacre? What do you say to him and to the other family members who have lost their loved ones.
My heart goes out to them because I could never imagine what it's like to lose your whole family like that. I really can't, and under those horrific circumstances. To this poor man, you know, these people that are going through it because this has been dragged out by Al Jazeera, for this to go through the experience again, and I'm sure that's how it must feel to them.
Will you apologise to them though, in any way, shape or form?
Deb, my comments were made at a dinner table, never made publicly. It's not my doing to have exposed this, my comments. It was Al Jazeera and an undercover agent. I'm sorry for these people. I really am genuinely sorry for them. They shouldn't have to go through this again.
Wow, some extraordinary stuff in there. I mean, you know what jumped out at me was the fact that she denies everything and says it's all a conspiracy, but then says she hasn't watched the documentary.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me that she hadn't actually seen the Al Jazeera documentary in full. But she's come out firing. She is on the offensive and the defensive and is not really accepting any blame or responsibility here. And they do want the release of the full unedited version of the tapes from Al Jazeera. They are pushing for that, and they're claiming that that will put it all into context. So it'll be interesting to see. You know, there are 3 years worth of material and tapes here, but One Nation and Pauline Hanson want to see it in full.
Did you get the sense that she was rattled?
No, I didn't. I think she's definitely gone on the offensive and on the defensive. And rattled is not a term that I would apply to Pauline Hanson in that context. She's fired up, and I think she's coming out with her arguments, and you know, she's taking it up to the Prime Minister on the issue of preferences and taking it up to him very strongly.
Yeah, we spoke about it earlier, but I just don't think this is going to do her any harm electorally. I think this plays right to her base, who sit there and go, yeah, fight all these normal people, the usual types that come out and slam One Nation. It only feeds the beast a bit more.
Yeah. But
why is One Nation sitting down with the NRA? Like, just to get on the source and talking about millions of dollars to change Senate votes. I mean, there's something going on there, isn't it?
And talk about foreign interference. I mean, you're sitting down for meetings with an overseas organisation, right?
Yeah, there's still a lot of questions as a result, but it was an interesting chat, that is for sure.